Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this a really long elf hat. Okay, it's got the two pom-poms, little pom-poms on the front. Those are optional. This is a 2-inch button if you want to put that on. I don't think I mentioned that when I was talking about the yarn, but that's 2 inches and I got that at Walmart. And it's got the ribbing on it, kind of to add texture all the way to the top, and it's got a big pom-pom. Now, it's very long. From the tip of the pom-pom down there to the bottom is 42 inches, almost a little bit over. So it's a long one. It's actually, I think it turned out really cool. But I do want to point out now there is a seam in the back. I hate seams, but they got to be there. Now it's going to be hidden when you put your hat on, because when you put your hat on, it folds down like this, and you're not gonna see it because this part's gonna be up against your back. But I just hate seams so much, and there's nothing I could do about it with this. I had to be there because of the ribbing. Now, it started out, and the way you work, you'll notice in the video, it starts to turn in, but in the middle of the video I'll show you how to make it start to turn back the other way. That way it doesn't wrap all the way around the front. And you can also make it straight just by messing with it a little bit like this and straightening it out, and then the seam will go straight down. It won't be crooked at all. But I just want to show you that seam. But remember, when you put it on, you're not going to see it because it's going to be like this. That's going to be the front right here, and this part will be on your back, so you won't see it. So, but the seam just has to be there. But let's go ahead and get started on it. Okay, you want to check down in the description box for the link to where you can get the written pattern for this. For this project, I used Red Heart Super Saver stripes. My favorite color is Latte Stripes. I love this one; it's my favorite. And there are 236 yards per skein, and it took me almost a full 3 skeins to do this. So 2, 4, 6, 700 yards probably. And it's just a medium weight, 100% acrylic. Now you don't have to use this brand, but I do recommend you using a 4-ply yarn of some type. And then I used a size I, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Okay, you want to start off with a chain of 70. What we're doing is working on like the brim of the hat, and then we'll work like up. So that's why it's so big to start with. We're not going to be starting at the crown. We're going to be starting at the bottom. And then you want to go follow your chain down without twisting it and slip stitch into the first chain to form a ring. Like that. Now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go right back into that same spot right here that we just slip stitched into and do a single crochet. And now I'm going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way back around to the beginning of where we started here. It's just like this. One single every stitch all the way back around. And when you get back to the beginning, you should have a total of 70 stitches. Okay, once you make it back around and you count it and you have 70 stitches, I'm going to go ahead and use a stitch marker. I'm just going to use this piece of yarn here. And we're going to be working in rounds of single crochet now. So I'm going to put my stitch marker here at the end of round 1. That way I know where I end and where I begin. So I'm just going to jump over here to the first single crochet that we made. Not the chain 1 that's here, but the first single crochet, and I'm going to single crochet into it like that. And now I'm going to continue working around 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get back to my stitch marker. And when you get back to your stitch marker at the end of round 2, you should still have 70 stitches. Okay, when you make it back to your stitch marker, all you want to do is pull it up like this and continue around doing rounds of single crochet. And every time you make it to your stitch marker, you should have 70 stitches. So you want to go ahead, and I went ahead and did it, and you want to go ahead and do it for a total of 10 rounds. Now I made it back to my end of my 10th round, and I moved my stitch marker up. Now all I want to do is go ahead and slip stitch into the next stitch like that, and now we can take that stitch marker out because we're not going to use it anymore. So that's going to be the brim of the hat. Now I'm going to start off doing the main portion of the hat, and it's an easy stitch as long as you can do the back post double crochet. So I'm going to start with a chain 1. Now I'm going to go right back into that same stitch that I slip stitched into and do a double crochet. And now I'm going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch until I get back to the beginning. Now this is round 11 we're working on. We did the 10 rows of single crochet, and now this is round 11. Round 11 is 1 double crochet in every stitch until you get back to the beginning. And when you get back to the beginning, you still should have 70 stitches. Just like that. Okay, once you make it back around and you have your 70 double crochets or your 70 stitches, we're going to end round 11 by slip stitching into the first double crochet. Not the chain 1 we did, but the first double crochet. And that'll end round 11. Okay, for round 12, we're going to chain 1. And now we're going to work a back post double crochet in every single stitch, starting with this very first one. Now when you look at the first one, you can see where I've chained 1 and then I double crocheted. I do that because I think it looks nicer than the chain 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to do our back post double crochet. We are going to, now this is the one stitch that's probably the hardest of the whole pattern, and it's not even really that hard. We need to get our hook in between that chain 1 and this first double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, but we're going to do a back post. So we're going to come at it from the behind, and you just kind of work it in there, shimmy it in there like that, and then go behind that first stitch like that and do your back post double crochet. And mine slipped out. Like I said, it's kind of the hardest one to do is that first one. Tends to slip off your hook. There we go. And then you go ahead and do your double crochet. So that's your first back post double crochet. And you can see that you went in between that chain 1 and the double crochet, but when you do the back post, it comes together and makes it look like one. So now we're going to do a back post double crochet in every stitch all the way around, and this is round 12 that we're working on. So we just yarn over to do our back post, go around the stitch around the post from the back side, so your post is on the back of your hook, and then you go ahead and do your double crochet like that. Again, yarn over, go around the next stitch from the behind like that, and then you do your back post. And we're going to do that in every stitch all the way around. And it'll get real easy as you get the hang of that back post. Problem I have with the back post is it always gets hung up when I come back around. I don't know if you have that problem or not, but so this is what it's starting to look like, and as you can see by doing these back posts, it's making that little rib on it. So I'm going to do one back post double crochet in every stitch until I get back to the beginning. Now when you get back to the beginning, you still should have 70 stitches. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 12 and I have my 70 stitches still. So what I'm going to do is slip stitch into the top of this first back post double crochet. Not this little chain one we did, but the top of the very first back double. And that'll end round 12. So now all it is a repeat of rounds 11 and 12. So we're going to start round 13 by repeating round 11, which is just a round of 1 double crochet in every stitch. So you chain 1 and go back into that same stitch and double crochet. And now I'm going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch around until I get back to my starting point. And when I get back around, I should have 70 stitches. I should still always have 70 stitches until later when we start decreasing. But for now it's 70 stitches every time around. So I'm just going to do 1 double in every stitch. Okay, I come to the end of round 13, so I'm going to go ahead and end in a slip stitch into my first double crochet. 70 stitches is what I need to have. Now for round 14, we're just going to repeat what we did for round 12. So we're going to chain 1, and if you look here, we need to shimmy our hook in between this chain 1 and that double crochet. So yarn over, and we're going to do a back post double, kind of work it till it gets in between there like that, and then go around that post and do your back post double. It's like that. Now I'm going to work 1 back post double crochet in every stitch all the way around. So for round 14, I'm just repeating round 12. So that's what I'm going to do for a while now. I'm just going to keep repeating rounds 11 and 12. 1 round of double crochet and 1 round of back post double crochet. And you should always have 70 stitches at the end of each round. Okay, I've done a total of 23 rounds, and that is starting from the very first one. So we did 10, and then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. It's just a regular round of double crochet. Now I'm going to start decreasing the hat, and it's going to be decreasing 2 stitches every other row. So it's going to be a really long hat. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do decreases on, this is round 24. We're going to be doing the decreases whenever we do the back post double crochets. So for round 24, I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to put 1 back post double crochet in the first 33 stitches. So starting with the very first one, just like we've been doing. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I did the back post double crochet over the first 33 stitches. Now I'm going to work a back post double crochet decrease over the next 2. It takes 2 stitches to make the decrease. So it's kind of the same as a front post double crochet decrease. It's just we're going to be working it, or it's kind of just, it's just the same really as a regular double crochet decrease, but we're just going to be working around the post. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, go in like we're going to do a back post, and draw up a loop, and we're just going to go through the first 2 loops like that. Now we're going to yarn over again and go around the post of the next stitch and draw up a loop, and then we're going to yarn over and go through the first 2 loops, and then there'll be 3 loops that remain, and you yarn over and go through all 3. So what that did is it took those 2 stitches and made it into one. Now I'm going to work a back post double crochet again in the next 33 stitches. Okay, I did my back post double crochet over the next 33 stitches, and I have 2 stitches left, and I'm going to do a back post double crochet decrease over these 2. So I'm going to yarn over, go around like we're going to do the back post, and draw up my loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on my hook. Then I'm going to yarn over again and go around it like the back post of the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on my hook, and then I'll have 3 that remain. I'm going to yarn over and go through all 3 loops. So that took those 2 and made it into one. Now I'm going to end around 24 by slip stitching into my beginning back post double crochet. Now I'll have 68 stitches, so I'll have 2 less. So I'm only going to be decreasing on the back post double crochet rounds. So this next round is just going to be a double crochet round, and I'm not going to do no decreases. So I'm going to chain 1, go back into the same stitch and double crochet, and it's just 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way around, no decreasing on the regular double crochet rounds. So when I get back around, this is round 25, I should have 68 stitches still. Okay, I've made it back around to end of round 25, and I have 68 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and end with a slip stitch into my first double crochet. Now 26 is going to be the back post row, so it's going to be a decrease round, and we're going to take away 2 stitches. So last time we did 33 stitches and then we did a decrease. This time we're going to do 32 stitches and then do a decrease. So I'm going to chain 1 and do my back post right here in the same stitch, and that counts as our first one of the 32 that we need to do in a row. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I got my 32 stitches done in a row, so now I'm going to do a decrease over the next 2 stitches. So I'm going to yarn over and go through the next one like we're going to do our back post and draw up a loop. I'm going to yarn over and go through those first 2 loops, and then I'm going to go to the next one and do the back post, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and then I'm going to yarn over and go through all 3. So that took those 2 stitches and made it into one. Now I'm going to do back post double crochet over the next 32 stitches again. Okay, I did it. My back post double crochet in the next 32 stitches, and I have 2 stitches left, so I'm going to go ahead and do my back post decrease. So I yarn over, go through like you're going to do your back post, draw up a loop here, yarn over, go through the first 2, and then you yarn over and go through the next one like the back post, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through your first 2 loops, and then yarn over and go through all 3. and then you end with a slip stitch into your first back post double crochet. Now this time you'll have 66 stitches. So the next round is just a regular round of 1 double crochet in every stitch. We don't decrease. So we chain 1, go back into the same stitch, and it's 1 double crochet in every stitch around. Remember, we only decrease on the back post rows. So when you get back around, you should have 66 stitches still at the end of this row. Okay, I've made it to the end of my row and I have 66 stitches. I'm going to go ahead and end with a slip stitch into my first double crochet. So the next round is going to be a decrease round again, because it's going to be the back post double crochet. So this time it's going to be 31 back post double crochets in a row, and then a back post double crochet decrease, and then 31 again, and then your last 2 will be a decrease, and you'll have 2 less stitches. You'll have 64 stitches, and then you do your row of double crochet of 64 stitches, and the next round will be back post double crochet in the next 30 stitches, and then a decrease, and you'll have 2 less stitches than you did the row before, and then you double crochet, then you do your double crochet row, and then the next row will be back post double crochet in the next 28 stitches, or I'm sorry, the next 29 stitches, and then do your decrease. The next one will be 28 in a row and then a decrease, then 27 in a row and a decrease, then 26 in a row and a decrease. It's just one less from the time before. And you remember, you only decrease on these back post rounds, and every round will have 2 less stitches, so it just keeps getting a little smaller and a little smaller. So that's kind of how we're going to do it the rest of the pattern. So I'm just going to start my next round out doing 31 back post doubles and then a decrease, 31 back post doubles and a decrease, and I'll have 64 stitches, and then I'll do my row of double crochets, and the next round will be 30 back post doubles in a row and then my decrease, and then I continue that around, and I'm just going to keep going like that until my hat gets a lot smaller. Okay, I'm going to show you what I got so far. I am on round number, from the very beginning, 53, and you can see how it's getting smaller. And you should have 40 stitches at the end of round 53. What you can also see is the seam, and there's no way of getting around a seam. If crochet was perfect, there would be no seams. I hate seams, but if you notice, it might be starting to sway a little bit to the right. Now you can fix it just kind of by pulling it over, and the reason why it's doing that is because we're decreasing at this last end. And like I said, you can do this and fix it so when you wear it, the seam is straight in the back. You're not going to be able to see the seam anyways, because when you put the hat on, it's going to flip over like that. But I'm going to fix it a little bit. Now what we're going to do for the rest of it, we're still going to be only decreasing by 2 on the back post around. We're just going to do it opposite what we've been doing. So around 53, this was the back post right here, or the regular double crochet, and now I'm getting ready to start around 54, which is a back post round, and it would be a decrease round. So normally we would, on this round, I would be doing 18, if you followed along correctly, you would be on where you're doing 18 back post double crochets, and then you would do a double crochet decrease. Well, instead of doing that, I'm going to do a double crochet decrease first, and then I'm going to do 18, and that's how I'm going to start working every round now. So I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to go through this first one here just like we normally would, back post, and go through the first 2 loops. Then I'm going to yarn over and go around the next one and go through the first 2 loops, and then I'm going to go through all 3. So we're doing what we're still doing, except for I'm making my decreases opposite this time. So I started with the decrease, and now I'm going to do 18 back post double crochets in a row. So I did my 18 back posts in a row, and now I'm going to decrease over the next two. Like that. And now you should have 18 stitches that remain, and you just want to back post double crochet in the remaining 18. So we're still only taking away 2. We're just kind of, instead of ending in a decrease, we're starting in a decrease. So that's really the only difference. And that's kind of help straighten up that seam a little bit. But I mean, you don't even have to do this because you can pull the seam and straighten it. But I'm going to do this. I really hate seams. Hate them bad, and I try my hardest to make them. Wish I didn't have to have them, but this was a pattern that's unfortunately you just have to have one. Now see, I'm coming to the end, and there was this 18 stitches left. We're not decreasing on the last this time because we decreased on the first one. Now this was round 54, and you'll have 2 less than you did the round before, so we'll have 38 stitches now. So we're getting closer to the end. Go ahead and slip stitch into your first decrease there, like that. And now it's just the 1 double crochet in every stitch, just like normal. So you just chain 1. Go back into the same stitch. Double crochet. Now 1 double crochet in every stitch. This is round 55, and you'll still have 38 stitches when you get back around. Okay, I made it back around, and I just slip stitched. I got my 38 stitches. Now I'm just going to kind of continue that pattern. So this time it'll be 17 that we need to do in a row. But instead of doing the 17 first and then a decrease, we're going to decrease and then do the 17. So chain 1 and decrease over your first 2 stitches. And then do your 17 back post double crochets in a row. So this is what we're going to repeat now until we get down a lot smaller. It's the same as we've been doing. This round it's just making the decreases at different spots. So this round of decreases, it's 17. We decrease first and then do 17. In the next round of decreases will be decrease first, then do 16. The next round will be decrease first and do 15, just like we did the whole way up. Only we're decreasing first instead of ending in a decrease. And remember to do your double crochet row, and you'll always have 2 less stitches than you did the row before. So last row we had 38, so when I get back around here we'll have 36. I got my 17 in a row done. Now we're just going to do a decrease over the next 2. That. And then you'll have 17 stitches that remain. Just do your back post double crochet into the last 17. And you'll have 36 stitches this round. And that's how we're going to decrease the rest of the way down. The same way we've been doing it, except for we're starting with a decrease instead of ending with a decrease. Okay, here's what I got so far. I've come to the end. From the very first row all the way up, I'm on row 82. And it's actually a back post decrease row. And you should have 10 stitches at the end of that round. Now, instead of doing 1 double crochet in every stitch like we would normally do, I'm just going to decrease it shut now. Now we're going to do regular double crochet decreases, not back post double crochet decreases. So what we're going to do is chain 1. I'm going to go yarn over, go into that very first stitch and draw up a loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on my hook. And then I'm going to yarn over and go into the next stitch and draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, and then all 3. Now I'm going to do that again over the next 2 stitches. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, drop a loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2. Yarn over and go into the next stitch, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and yarn over and go through all 3. So it's the same as the back post decreases, except for we're going in the top of the stitch. Again, we're going to do that over the next 2 stitches. So we're going to yarn over, go in, drop a loop, go through the first 2, yarn over and go into the next stitch, drop a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, and all 3. Again, it's getting really tight. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, drop a loop, go through the first 2, yarn over, go into the next stitch, drop a loop, go through the first 2, and then all 3. You got 2 stitches here that remain. Do the same thing over those. I know it's getting really tight, but do that over the last 2 stitches. Now you should have 5 stitches left. What we're going to do is slip stitch into the first double crochet decrease, tie it off, and leave a long tail. Gosh, it's hard to work in these little small spaces. Slip stitch into that first one. I'm kind of sitting in an awkward position too. There. Okay, like I said, tie it off, leave a long tail. I'm going to get my yarn needle and just sew the rest of that end shut there. So use your yarn needle and just take it, and you can hide your tail as you're sewing it shut. Just go through it and pull it tight at a point, kind of. And I'm going to put a pom-pom on the end of mine. You don't have to, but I like that, hats that have that along with the pom-pom on the end. See, as you're hiding your tail, but you're also just sewing this up at the end. Like that. Now I'm going to leave this long tail here, so when I sew my pom-pom on, I can use this. So I'm not going to clip it off right now. But what I'm going to do, one more thing for the hat. Now I'll flip it over and you can see how the seam kind of looks. Oh, like I said, I hate seams, but it's a little crooked. Now you can straighten it out before you put it on your head. Just kind of fiddle around with it a little bit and work the seam into the center. But I think the seam looks pretty good considering the stitch that we used, that back post stitch, and having to do the decreases. I think it stayed pretty centered, especially since we started about halfway doing it the opposite way. But you ain't gonna see the seam, like I said anyways. The hat's gonna flip over. I keep talking about the seam because I hate them so much. I wish there was no seams in crochet, but there is. So one last thing I'm going to do is go around this bottom part here with a row of single crochet just to clean up that edge. So you just want to start anywhere in the back here. Here's where, you know, just start somewhere around here. So go into the stitch and chain 1 like that, and go back into that same stitch and single crochet. Now I'm going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch around the bottom of the hat, like this. Now you should have 70 stitches when you make it back around, because we started with 70. If you don't, it's not that big of a deal. You know, if you got 69, 71, something like that. But you should have 70. But don't fret over it if you don't. Nothing's going to be perfect. That seam, the seam on this hat's not perfect. I keep talking about that seam. No, really, it's not that bad. So 1 single crochet in every stitch until you get back to the beginning. Once you make it back around to the beginning, you just want to end with a slip stitch into your first single crochet that you made. And then you can tie that off, hide that, clip that off and hide the tail on that. And that's it, other than sewing on some pom-poms and a button. Okay, I got my button here. Now this is optional. I'm just going to sew it on up here with a piece of yarn and a yarn needle. You don't have to put the button on. It's up to you. Get it on there nice and tight. And I always kind of tied it a knot back here. And then I'll sew in these tails. And it shouldn't come off. And I'll just like kind of weave the tails in here back here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick off camera. Okay, I made a couple little pom-poms, so you don't have to do this. And I left long tails on them, and I tied them around the button. I'll take one off. And you don't have to do this, but I just kind of knotted them up around the button, and then I'll cut off any loose ends. That's just if you want to do this. You don't have to. Kind of like get them however you want them, like that. Now I'll clip these loose ends off. Just tie them around your button. Okay, now I already got my big pom-pom made. I didn't go over how to make it, but there's lots of good tutorials on YouTube how to make pom-poms. I'll put a link to a really good one, how to make a really nice pom-pom, in the description. It's from the channel called The Nervous Knitter. She shows you how to make a really nice pom-pom. But here's mine. So once you get your pom-pom made, we're just going to sew it on the top. And I also like to do a little bit of dab of hot glue on the top so it doesn't come undone. You don't have to do that, but I do. So I'm going to take this, my long tail here, and go under here where I made my pom-pom, sew it on a couple times, and then I'm going to dab some hot glue on it so it doesn't come undone. I sew it through the top of my hat. Like that. And then I'll go back through the pom-pom again. Pom-poms aren't the easiest thing to get on. Well, I never thought they were. Then I'm going to go through the hat again. But you don't want it to come off, so that's why I use a little dab of hot glue. You can't see it or anything. Okay, once you get it sewed, just take a low heat hot glue gun and just put a couple little dabs here and press up on your pom-pom like that. And that's going to hold it. I don't have any. Just a regular piece of hot glue. I'm going to show you the wrong way probably because I can't find my hot glue gun, but I'll just take a piece of hot glue and a lighter. And this isn't the right way to do it. I shouldn't show you this, but I guess if you don't have a glue gun, heat it up, let it cool for just a minute, blow on it so it's not quite so hot. And then I just put a dab of it right here. And then hold it tight right there. And then I'll do the same on the other side. And then in that pom-pom, it's not ever going to come off now. Hold it there for a minute. And now you can cut this tail off to your sewing tail. Go around on the other side. And I'll do the same thing. Showing you wrong ways to do things, I guess, but they work. Now remember just to kind of blow on it a minute because that lighter. This is just if you don't have a hot glue gun. Gets it really hot. Let it cool for just a second. Put a dab on there like that. And then push your pom-pom up against it and hold it real tight for a few seconds. Probably disregard that way I showed you, because it's not proper. I'll probably get some comments on that. People tell me I'm not showing you how to do things right. People do that sometimes. But if it works, right? There we go. Now I'm going to cut these long tails off here. Now, any pom-poms you need to cut or anything, but it's on there now. It's not going to come off. All these strings hot glue off here, but that is it. That's all there is to it. It's finally done. Kind of took me a lot longer than I thought, but I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, or if you make this or anything else, I'd really love to see a picture of it. You can check me out on Instagram and Pinterest, and also I'll put a link to where you can find the pattern to this below. And until next time, have a good day.